The survey was conducted by a British agency, and they found that in a year, nearly 4,000 SMEs had to stop their operation because of the delay in AR payment by their customers. You know, there's a very old saying in Six Sigma. We say, what we cannot measure, we don't know, or we don't know what we cannot measure. We cannot improve unless we can measure the improvement. So hence, if we wish to improve AR, we need to measure it. What are the various measurement matrix of AR? The universal measure of AR is DSO, i.e. days sales outstanding, is computed as accounts receivable as on a date divided by the average daily sale up to that date. If you wish to calculate the DSO of a company, please take the balance sheet, let's say as on 31st March 2020. You will find the trade receivable in the balance sheet, and you will find the total sales in the profit and loss account. If you divide the total sales by 365, you will get the daily sales, and divide the total outstandings or the AR by the average daily sale, and you have the number of days of sales outstanding. And this is more or less a universal measure. The good point about this DSO is this, that I can very easily compare it, benchmark it with the other companies in your own industry as well as in similar industries. The objective would always be to bring the DSO down to the average credit period which you normally offer to the customers. The second measure is percentage spread of AR under current. That means within the credit period, 1 to 90 days beyond the credit period, 91 to 180, 81 to 365, and greater than 365. What's the objective? The objective is to maximize the AR to be in the current category and minimize AR in other categories. Incidentally, the possibility of your collecting the AR once it has gone to 91 to 180 days is statistically not more than 75%. If it is in 181 to 365 days, it could be even lesser. And if it crosses 365 days, it could be just about 10%. These are the statistics worked out by the American organization which looks at the various credit details. There are many more measures, but those measures are rather difficult to compute and monitor. So people more or less concentrate on the first two measures. Okay. A very important question. So far, so good. What is AR? How do we measure it? Why do the customers delay the AR payment? They have agreed to make the payment on time within a certain number of credit days. Why do they delay this? It will be interesting to just review some of the comments which come from the customers. When you follow up for AR collection, the responses may be like this. The first, we have not received the invoice. Or, we received only last week and it is in the payment process. What does he really mean? The customer probably means could be that they have received it, but since there is a delay in payment, the ideal way to say is this: we have not received it. So that you will take some time to send, and then they would be, within their rights to take a week or two in processing the same. It could also be that your internal system, which sends the invoices, has not really sent it on time, or there is a flaw in our own system. There could be another one. Invoice does not contain reference number of PO. If it does not have a reference number of PO, how can we make the payment? Or the copy of PO has not been received. Once again, this has something to do with our internal system, because the internal financial system should provide for this. There is an issue with rate or quantity or quality. These are generally the causes for the dispute. And there are cash flow issues with the company, and they would give any kind of frivolous reasons, like we just about missed the payment cycle. We have outsourced our accounts payable payments, and we sent it to them, but the outsourcing agency have delayed it. Many times, accounts payable person is on vacation and hence delay in processing. Or the check has been prepared, but the signing authority is not available, and so on. If we really recategorize this under three categories, the first category being resolvable by fixing our process. That means it's more to do with us and not the customer. Probably we would be able to fix issues like we have not received the invoice, we received the invoice only last week and it is in the process. Invoice does not contain reference number of our PO. Copy of the PO has not been received, and similar. The second category is disputed invoice. There is error in rate or quantity or quality issues. Now, this is the case where possibly the help or the action is needed by the various concerned persons in the company. The cash flow problems, again, the frivolous reasons which the collector with experience is able to know whether it is a cash flow or it is just an excuse. If I look at it slightly again, in all these cases, what is the possible solution? When we say resolvable causes of delay, it means sooner we know the causes, faster is the resolution, and earlier would be the collection. Once we know early enough, it gives us an opportunity to fix the internal system to prevent its occurrence again and again. Disputed invoices, exactly the same. We need to know fast, much before the invoice is due for payment, so that it can be resolved and the customer is empowered, or collector is empowered to collect the money fast enough, and all this data can also be analyzed to arrive at a permanent fix. Cash flow issues, it's even more important to know even before the invoice is due for payment, because it's important to minimize additional risk exposure, i.e., not to provide additional goods and services so that you don't create further receivables. Who has the AR collection responsibility? Varies from an organization to organization. But in my experience so far over the last 40 years or 45 years, I have seen that most of the companies assign the AR collection to the sales team. This is an old axiom which says one who sells is best suited to collect. But do the salesperson like it? They're not thrilled at all. And there's a common grudge which you can hear in the water cooler place. Should I spend time for selling or on air collection? I am not a collector. I specialize in sales. Because the salespersons firmly believe that it's a mundane task, a routine task that does not require their talent and capabilities. It becomes more interesting because most of the time the salespeople, the commission of the salespeople or the variable salary as you call it, is dependent on the sales and not on collection. Finally, they say all is well if you insist we will collect, but please provide us tools and ways to automate some mundane repetitive AR tasks so that our time is saved and we can use that time effectively, constructively for our main job, which is selling. I think they're right in this. Okay, now having said that, I have made an assumption that yes, the selling or the collection is assigned to the salesperson. Let's look at the AR collection process, which is the most commonly followed. On the left side, I have written what is the objective of this process. The objective is collect current and overdue accounts receivable as early as possible. Get to know the issues causing delay of payment, again, as soon as possible, so that they can be resolved. I have also assumed that the company is using some ERP like SAP, and the financial system is kind of executed using that ERP. Let's imagine a month now. In the beginning of the month, the finance people or the, let's say the ERP persons, they would require a couple of days to post the collection, whatever they have made during the last couple of days of the previous month, and tag them against the invoices. After processing around the third working day of the month, they prepare the statement of outstandings and send to the customers, and also send the aged analysis report to finance and the head of sales. Normally, in most of the cases, ERP provides these two tools for collections, meaning thereby statement of account, which is mailed to the customer in the beginning of the month, and the aged analysis, which is used by finance and by sales and the sales reps to collect the money. By the fifth day of the month, branches, let's say the head office and the branches will go through this, analyze, and provide or set up the collection target for the month for each branch, and the branch manager will fix up for its sales reps. I have assumed here that this company has branches all over the country, maybe 4, maybe 10, maybe 8, whatever. By the 7th working day of the month, the salesperson has studied the age analysis and has made his collection plan and would start the collection activities like the telephone calls, emails, and what have you. This means till the 10th calendar days of the month, probably nothing happens. And around that time, the salesperson, the first, receivables which the person would follow up would be the ones which the customers promised to pay during last month, but have not paid as yet. And thereafter, the normal practice is that they would like to go through all the outstanding invoices which are overdue, because they feel quite odd in calling the customers for the current invoices. And every week, finance departments updates what is the status of outstanding as on the month end or as of today, and sends it again to the salespeople and the branch managers to review the progress. This usually is the process which is being followed. You would have a question that why do these weekly updates have to occur? Because why can't the salespeople go online and see the outstandings online on SAP? If you are running on SAP, you would know that their charges are based on the number of named users, and it's quite expensive to provide this facility to every salesperson. So that's the reason why the finance people do this job, which is many times in the form of the Excel sheets. Let's look at the weaknesses of this process. The first important weakness is the current invoice is not followed up. In other words, we do not know the causes of delay of an invoice till the time it is overdue. It means the system or the process is designed to only expedite or follow up or collect monies from the invoices which are overdue and not which are current at all. While talking to the customers or sending the emails, each salesperson uses their own script or their own format. Now, salespeople do not like to write emails, frankly. They like to talk, but really do not like to write emails and document them. There is no record maintained of collection actions and the commitments which have been received from the customer. Unfortunately, the salespersons are quite mobile. Just imagine that a salesperson has left a job and gone somewhere, and all the record of interaction for collection has gone with him because it is not on record at all. In other words, continuity is a challenge. Again, salespersons, because of their very nature, would rather prefer to sell than to give priority to AR. And there may be many more reasons, but these are some of the few weaknesses, which are quite serious in their own rights. Now, the question is how to resolve it. What can be the strategy and the solution to get over this problem? If you really look at the AR collection process, it's eminently suitable for digitization. There are several repetitive activities in this process which can be automated by digitization. I'll give you a few examples, like collection target assignment. Most of the time, people assign target by calculating the collectible amounts from each customer, roll it up to the salesperson level, then roll it up to the branch, and finally roll it up to the country. Okay. Now, this is an activity which can be done very easily through a digitized process and will save at least 2 working days. What's the priority follow-up list? Once again, while sending the details to the branches and to the salesperson, the digitized process can provide facility to plan the collection tasks once again easily through a notepad or whatever. Now, frankly, collection persons are wary of reminding customers for invoices when they are during the credit period. Now, here is a big dichotomy. If you don't remind, you don't get to know the problem. If you remind, the customer says, hey, it is still not due, it's within the credit period. And in any case, the salesperson or the collector is working on the statement of outstanding, which is on the first day of the month. What has happened during the course of the month by way of the new invoices are not covered in any case. What's the solution? The digitized process can be used to automate emails that can be sent 2 to 3 times before the due payment date. I give you an example. The very first, assuming that an invoice is due for payment on the 20th of the month. An automatic email can go, let's say on the 10th or the 7th or whatever way, saying something like this: thank you very much for patronizing us, and we are happy to serve you. I'd like to bring to your notice that we have raised so-and-so invoice for this amount, which is due for payment on this day. Should you have any problems with this, any clarifications, please feel free to contact so-and-so. Now, it's a very nice email, and it means that you have any problem, please get in touch with us. Maybe another automated email can go, let's say on the 15th, by saying that I'm sure you would have, clarified whatever issues you may have, and now we look forward to receiving your payment by the due date on the 20th. Now, in other words, the system has already informed the customer that, look, invoice is due for payment. If you have any problem, please let us know. Which means now the customer is on the back foot. Again, a couple of reminders can be automatically sent after the due date. Maybe like in this case on the 25th, an email is sent, we have not received your payment. Maybe you have already sent. If so, please ignore this. Else, could you please send it soon enough before the month is over, and maybe another one on the 30th. And up-to-date statement of outstanding could be attached with each one of these emails. Benefit: multiple reminders to the customer. And these regular multiple reminders will definitely bring the payment file right on the top of the queue, because the person has been requested for this payment several times. This alone will get results from the customers who pay regularly to pay earlier. The ones who like to delay, it won't help, except that somebody who likes to be followed up for making the payment, that person would again be persuaded to do this. All right, what's the next step? Again, the cash flow issues of the customer who are known earlier for action. The digitized process, several facilities you can build into this, like the standardized scripts and templates for telephone calls and emails. This ensures that the image of the company remains consistent irrespective of who is doing the job. Again, you can provide a facility to maintain record of all follow-up calls at customer level for reference. You know something? People call the customer for collection. They agree, or the customer proposes, they agree, they propose, customer agrees that when the payments would be made, but this remains virtually between the two persons. No minutes of the meeting are sent. The digitized system can help in doing that. Consistent and transparent KPIs like the DSO we talked about can be assigned for all levels and monitored. When I say all levels, automatically they get rolled up and everybody has the same targets. Customer payment habits monitored for review of the credit facility when the customer comes next for another order, and many, many more. I'm just giving you simply a few examples of how you can digitize this process. Please remember, ERP system is not designed for AR collection. ERP system only provides some basic tools for AR collection, and most of the time those tools are statement of outstanding, statement of account, and the age analysis. Many people also think or consider or find the statement of outstanding to be very difficult to understand. Hence, it is important to digitize this process in the event you feel you need to improve the cash flow. All right. Why should you be digitizing? The question is, all this effort, is it worth it? Let's see what can be the benefits. You could reduce the DSO by 10 to 15%. What does it mean in terms of money? Assuming your DSO, your average credit period is 30 days. What I have seen by analyzing hundreds of companies is that usually the actual DSO is around 2 to 3 times, meaning it would be 60 days to 90 days. Supposing it is 75 days and your total outstanding happens to be 100 crores. If you reduce it by 10%, we're talking about 10 to 15%, it means 10 crores. It means 10 crores would be available to the company for the working capital, and considering that the bankers charge about 9 to 10% as interest on the working capital, it means annual saving of 90 lakhs to 1 crore. I think it's quite worth the effort. Again, by doing this, when the DSO comes down, you also realize more payments during the credit period. Bad debts, it's a curse. Normally 1% of the total credit sale people have to provide for in their books of accounts. Now, which means if it is total sale is, let us say, 500 crores or 500 crores, it means 50 lakhs is being provided as a bad debt. And from where it is going? It's going from the profit margin. Higher productivity of AR collection process. Your salespeople, if they are the ones who are assigned to collect, are very happy, because then they only call and meet the customers for outstanding collection where there is a problem. Their productivity goes up. They have more time to spend on actual selling. They are happy, and so is the company. What does it mean for your company in terms of money? I have already calculated it for you, but you could do this, a simple formula, a simple thing, whether you to calculate the saving per year. I'm through with it now. Thank you very much and happy collection. Now, if there are any questions, you may ask. And I think I'm well within time, Prashant.
Yeah, sir. So, Mr. Khankar has one question. He owns a MSME manufacturing unit.
Yeah.
He says most of his customers are pressurizing him to accept Hyundai system of bill discounting. So, is it advised that the MSME is accepted?
Oh, well, if the Hyundai is being authorized or being supported or being signed by their bankers, then it's okay. But otherwise, it has its own problems. I mean, once again, it's a question of the customers. It's a question of the marketplace. How much of pressure the customer can build onto you as a supplier.
Hello? Yeah.
Okay, any other question?
There's one more question from Nirmala Sharma from Avians Technologies. She's asking whether what to do in case the client is avoiding to pick up or call and not responding to mails. Then what action should we take?
I can't say hire a Pathan, but it only requires consistent follow-up. I mean, what else can you do except if after some time, if still nothing happens, send a legal notice. And most of the time, a legal notice does evoke a response. And the legal notice doesn't have to be, or too much of an issue. I mean, too much of a threatening thing. It can be very well worded, but gets the response most of the time.
Okay. One more query from the members, whether you would be sharing this presentation?
Well, yes, if you like. Ask them to send me the email and I'll email them to you.
Okay.
Email you to them.
Okay. So I think you already displayed your contact details on the screen. So people can just directly send your mail, or you are already there in the marketing and sales group. Probably we can share it there as well.
There as well, yeah.
Yeah. So, one question from Kunal. He's asking, nowadays most customers are extending credit terms from 60 to 90 or from 30 to 60 to 90 days, but we are not getting support from suppliers. How do we stream this gap?
Well, you see, unless you make yourself really important to your customer and they value your support, your services, your products, otherwise, they always have the habit of driving down the prices and increasing the credit period. And so is the case with the suppliers. I mean, it's a personal skill. It's a negotiation skill which helps in this. I mean, there's nothing else which can be done. It's a strictly your negotiation skill which you can use.
Okay. There's one more question probably regarding government has announced a lot of subsidies. So anything can be done about getting those in time?
Well, I do not know about them. I believe you have a SIDBI's lecture or presentation.
All right.
Today or one of these days. I do believe that the bankers have been allowed to increase your working capital by 10% for the next 6 to 12 months. If you contact your banker, you would perhaps get that fast enough. Whether that 10% will help or not, I don't know.
Okay. So there's one more query from Runalini Dhanavde. Runali, can you ask your question, because I think you have sent it on my mail. So since you are online, you can just probably unmute your mic and ask your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, for before starting the customer for registration with customer, can we have any solution for getting the credibility of the customer, for how much trade we can give, or can we see his financial records also?
Yes, you can.
You mean credit rating?
Right, right.
You see, you can work out the credit worthiness of the customer. As far as the financial records are concerned, if it's a private limited company, you can get their published financials from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs by paying 100 rupees. And
Okay.
you can download that and completely analyze their balance sheet and profit and loss. You can get for the current year, you can get the previous year, you can get the year previous to that. So you can analyze their financials very easily for the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years to arrive at, what are the accounts payable status which they have. And it's a very good thing to do, because many of these companies, they like to balance their payables with their receivables so that nothing goes from there. So it's important to have a look at it. But you can do that. 100 rupees, you can get the past financials. Does it answer your question?
Hello? Yeah, I guess it does.
Is there any online portal where we can report any outstandings against any OEM?
I do not know. If you happen to win MSME, then yes, there is, that all these large companies have to, publish in their financial results how much of receivables they owe to the MSMEs. So, the provisions are available. If you happen to be an MSME, then yes, but otherwise, I don't think so.
Okay. So can you recommend some suitable softwares for AR if you have any?
Well, I would suggest you get in touch with me and I'll try and help you as much as I can. Anybody who needs help on this accounts receivable, please feel free to write to me or get in touch with me. I'll try and give you as much of help as I can. And it'll be my pleasure to do that.
She was asking, suppose a customer is not paying as per his commitment, do legal notices work? And yeah, so that's it.
Yeah, see, it's like this. Let's assume this way. You need to maintain a full record of your conversation, your reminders, their responses, minutes of meeting which you have sent. Now, supposing a person has not paid you for 6 months, 180 days against your credit period of 30 days, and you already have had an exchange of all this conversation and emails and minutes of the meetings, let's say 20 times over this period. Now, with that, if you go to your lawyer and if he sends in a kind of legal notice, it will definitely help. There has to be a backup available, which indicates that you have done all the efforts, that person has given you all the promises and has not met with them. Does it make sense?
Okay. Right. So one more question from Mr. Mukundan. He says, what is your advice in case of project integrators where payment terms in percentages are based on completion stages of supplies and erection?
Yeah, hi sir, can I add some more things? This is Mukundan here.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, many times what happens, when the work is in progress, they say that you please carry on with the work, we'll pay, and there gets the fund flow gets stuck up. So what's your advice on that, sir?
My advice to you is this. Once again, document everything the moment you find your customer is likely to hold the payments. If the customer says, yes, I will pay, you also please, in a very nice diplomatic manner, you also say, yes, but I don't have the money. I'm continuing with the work, but I cannot put in more material. I cannot put in more things unless I get money from you. I'm saying this because I have faced this music for many, many years in my working career. And I found the only thing which works is when the customer, in a very nice manner, finds that the delay in making... Sorry? Hello?
Sorry, there was some disturbance in between.
Okay. Mr. Mukandan, what I have found is this, that the only thing which helps is when the customer finds that his project is also getting delayed because he's not making the payment to you, and this delay is going to cause trouble to the customer, and that you have all the documentation to prove this.
Okay.
You will get your money, definitely.
So, but sometimes the OEM changes the supplier also shamelessly. You know, he says other people are in line to work.
They do. I mean, see, these are all negotiation tactics. No, what Mukandan was saying was this: you have a project running, it's a stage-wise payment, and the guy says the stage is over, I'll pay you, but you continue work. I was responding to that. As the OEMs are concerned, they are absolutely not your friends, my dear, unless you have a very, very monopolistic, very, very technically advanced product. They want very definitely to cut their costs, and they won't even think twice about changing. That's unfortunate, but that's what happens.
Right. So we can take one last question probably. Just getting messages from my IT team that we need to stop in another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, we can take 1 or 2 questions at the most. Okay, so no questions, I guess. So thank you, Dr. Sachdeva, for a brief. Hello?
Hello?
Dattatreya?
Hello?
Yes.
Please.
Sir, I have a question. I am the commercial head of.
Yeah, your voice is breaking. I can't hear you.
You're not audible.
Yeah.
So I have one question.
Hello?
Your voice is coming as if it's coming from Mars.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this is.
What was that?
This is Rujita Jagtap, yeah?
Yeah, please do.
For a very insightful presentation, Mr. Ramesh Sachdeva and Dr. Ramesh. So one question was, you mentioned that there's a portal where we can upload the overdues that we have with our customers. Is this limited to only government related customers, or is it also the private customers? And how does this portal help in recovery?
You're talking about the MSMEs?
Yes.
It does help because the SME, whoever is the district manager or whoever, there are certain provisions in which they can take an action against the company, and even they can make them or force them to pay you some delayed charges as interest as well. But the exact details of that you will need to find out, because I do not know the exact way of doing it. Or maybe Prashant can help, because I'm sure this can be, or I'll go through it and I'll try and get back to you.
Sure. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we need to end this session. Thank you, Dr. Sachdeva, for giving a nice overview of accounts receivables and its importance, as well as the metrics. Also, you explained very lucidly why there are delays and strategies to collect the AR faster. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks on behalf of everybody, and everybody else, thank you for attending today's session at a short notice. I see there are only few registrations, but there are a lot of on-spot registrations. So it's good that we are doing a lot of useful sessions for you. Thanks a lot for joining. Thank you.
Thank
you,
you
sir.
all. Thank you very much.